that it's not just that I wanted like a cool looking classroom. I really do have a strategic design behind what is happening in here. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Caffeinated Classroom. I am Marie, and this is my first video that I am actually filming from my classroom this year. Excuse the mess, it is Friday and it was our first actual like full week this week, so things are a little crazy in here. And I've been out of the classroom for the last couple of years, so I'm still like getting back into the whole feel for like how to do everything. But today I wanted to talk to you about something that I actually talk to people on Instagram a lot about, which is flexible seating. Flexible seating is something that I've kind of dabbled in the past when I used to have an English classroom before. Obviously, when I was a drama teacher for 5 years at this same school, the whole thing was flexible seating, because it was one big, huge open stage. We had some fold-up chairs and rehearsal furniture that people sat on. But now I am back in the high school English classroom. This term, I have all 10th graders, all 10th grade, all the time, and my classroom is considered flexible seating for like all intents and purposes. I don't have like the wobble stools or like the yoga balls or yoga mats and stuff like that that you might see in like true flexible seating classrooms, especially in elementary classrooms. But, and I will take you on a tour in just a minute of like my different seating areas, the different seating options, so that you can see what we have. I have a lot of different things. I've got some high top tables. I've got a regular size kitchen table. I have long, like 6-person tables. I have a couch. I have some armchairs. I have a lot of options for kids. And I'm going to give you my 4 top tips on how to make this work in a high school classroom, because it can be really hard. Okay, so while this is not quite the official classroom tour, because I just haven't quite gotten there yet, I will show you guys my 6 seating areas. This first area is called the 100-acre wood. I apologize for the shaky camera here. And so that is right when you walk in the door over there. That is these tables over here. This area actually has 8 seats, which is kind of nice, because if I have overflow from one of my larger groups, I can send them over here and they'll have like a nice seat. And yes, they do face sideways or even have their backs to me. Sometimes while I'm talking, because the front board is right over here, I just have them turn in their chair and look at me. So that's number 1. The next area that I'll show you is these 3 tables that go across the back. So I've got this high top over here. I have a regular kitchen height table and then another high top like bar height table over there. And they each have the 4 chairs or stools at them. And then their little signs are hanging up above. Oh no, that one fell down. So this one right here is Tom Sawyer's Island. That one is the Jolly Roger, and that one over there is Treasure Island. And so those ones kind of group together, and it's just 2 groups of 6 that then they can just spread out wherever they want to be around here. Moving forward through the room, the next one that I'll show you is this table, this 2 tables that go across the back here, and I have 6. I have 4 across the back and then 1 on each end cap. That one is called Middle Earth. In front of Middle Earth, we have, going thematically, the Shire. And the Shire is the most popular one. I think it's just because everyone loves hobbits, right? But that's the 3 across the couch, 1 in each armchair on each side, and then I have the other chair in the back. I also have the floor pillows down here, and I have a few kids who really prefer it, and they seem to be focusing really well. I have clipboards for those kiddos, just so you know, and I apologize for the lighting right now. It's just because it's the middle of the afternoon. The last area over here is called Platform 9 3/4, and it is just 3 of these long tables along the other side of my room with 6 seats total. So, number 1, first thing I would say is to, and this is going to be kind of hard because it means letting go of a bit of control, is to give kids complete freedom and openness to pick wherever they want to sit for like the first 2 or 3, maybe 4 days. This is because it gives you some time to see who can and who cannot handle sitting around each other. It just gives you some time to observe behavior. It gives you some time to observe interaction among students. And I found that it's kind of nice, and you get to like, in my first couple of days, I make kids move around anyways throughout the room, but they do definitely gravitate towards like certain areas that are just the ones that they want to go to. And as you're starting to get more information about kids, it's like IEPs and 504s are like coming in, and you're starting to see that behavior manifest in the students. It gives you just a little bit of time to kind of get to know them, at least on a surface level, before step number 2, put them in groups, and create like a quasi seating chart. And I will show you what mine looks like right now. Over on this side of my room where I have our whole like week by week play by play of what we're talking about, it's called the big picture. This is where I made my sort of seating chart. And so I have each of the names of my different seating areas. As you can see, they're curling on me a little bit because I need to laminate them all. And then these little cards have the kids named, but obviously I covered it up with a Post-it for their privacy. So they came in, they found their names on here, they knew where they were supposed to be, and then when I'm ready to change where their group goes, I will just move the clips around and the kids will just come in and find where they're supposed to be. I have 3 classes because we're on a quarter system, and so we have 4 periods a day. The kids have 4 classes, I have 3 classes, and then I have a prep period. And my classes are 33, 39, and 40 students in like respectively. And so my 33 person class, no problem, it's not an issue making sure everybody has a seat. My 39 and my 40 person classes have, it gets a little squishy sometimes. But basically here's what we do. Earlier this week, on Tuesday I think it was, I rolled this out, and as you saw up on the board, there are like little placards that say the different areas of my room, because each like seating area of my room, as you saw on the tour, has a different like literary location or a little setting, a name for it. And so those little clips that have the card with all of the names on it will move depending on where they're supposed to be. So what they had to do when they came in on Tuesday, they had to find their name and find their group number. And because I have 3 different classes, I did them on 3 different colors of cardstock, so it was easy for them to like kind of find which color at least they were looking for to find their name. And that is their seating group. Then, obviously, the name of the table or the area that they are clipped next to is going to be where they are sitting this week. And so they had to then figure it out. It was a little slow going on the very first day. And they had to figure out where they have to go. And within that actual seating area, I don't care where they sit, like whatever, but you need to stay with your little group. The hiccup I hit was when I have, so my seating areas really work for groups of 6, really, really well. All of the seating areas work for groups of 6. The issue that I'm hitting though is because I have a class of 39 and I have a class of 40 and I have 6 seating areas, so like 36 would be my magic number of students. What I've had to do is group kids by 7s. I have some groups of 6 and some groups of 7 in both of those classes. And so essentially that last person just has to like pull up a chair and squish their way in, or I'll let them pull up like an extra stool that I have and go to like one of the high top tables if there's some more room. So that's where like, not just they're being flexible with this, but I'm being very flexible with it to try and figure out what's gonna fit for kids. But yeah, I'm really liking this whole seating chart, because at least if I have a substitute come in, or if I have somebody else coming in and covering my class, they can at least see the area. It's very clear what area of the room a student is supposed to be in, and if they are not in that area, then they need to have an explanation, like it's okayed by me or whatever it is. Yeah, so I think it's obviously not like this student is in this desk, because that's not possible in here, but it's a way to kind of like quell the storm a little bit. My third tip then, once you've got your seating chart, you've made your groups, you've made your like chart, and it's something that everybody can see up on the board, so that they're holding each other accountable for the group that they're supposed to be sitting in. I change it every week. I'm going to change where they sit. And their little cards with their group are going to rotate. Like I'm doing this because that's where like my, on the board where I showed you, the little names of the tables are, and the little clip is gonna move. But yeah, my number 3 tip is to rotate it around, make them move. Don't let them stay in one spot for too long, because then they start to get kind of weird about it. And the whole point of flexible seating in education is so that kids can find where they work the best and use that to their advantage. So what I'm actually thinking of doing when I get to the end of the quarter here is to open it up. Once they've had to sample basically each area of the whole entire classroom, because I've made them move around to each of the seating areas, I'll open it up and I will give them very specific guidelines and their expectations as to what I expect of their behavior if they're going to be sitting next to a friend, how I expect them to be and how to interact, and how they are finding a place in this classroom that is the best for them to work in, not necessarily the best for them to socialize. That's something that I think I'm going to try. I don't know. I'll let you guys know how that one goes. But yeah, so 1 was give it a few days to observe them. 2, group them according to your notes from your observations and create like a seating chart. And then 3, rotate that seating chart often. Don't let it go a couple of weeks, because I don't know, I think that it needs to get moving around a lot, especially towards the beginning of your course, so that kids can actually really get a feel for where they learn the best and how they learn the best. I know personally, me, Marie, I would not work very well at an armchair or a couch because I would get really sleepy. I would do best actually in the back of my classroom at one of the high top tables where I could stand up, because I need to stand up and move around. I have a couple kids who have asked, like, can I stand in the back? Absolutely. High top table it is, kiddo. You're good to go. Like, move around if you need to, just don't be distracting. Okay. Tip number 4, last but not least, is so that this doesn't burn you out and burn out your energy having a flexible seating classroom, save the last 3 to 4 minutes of class for cleanup. And it just takes like getting into the habit of stopping a few minutes early. And now I'm at a point, even at the end of week 2 of school, that kids are doing it naturally, and I only need to stop them about 2 minutes before the bell rings to make sure they just pick up little bits of paper that fall, make sure they look around them to check for any water bottles or that sort of thing, because it's more like a living room in this classroom. It's easier to like leave stuff behind because it kind of gets like hidden in little nooks and crannies. And I make them push in their chairs. I say, we are not beasties in this classroom. You need to push in your chairs. And if you moved something, move it back to where it goes, reset the room so that it looks better than it did when you came in. And I tell you, like, I'm not spending all of my time this Friday afternoon cleaning up. When I'm done recording this, I'm gonna go home and edit it. I don't have to clean up my classroom because my kids did. And it just took me like training them to do that a little bit. I hope that these tips have been helpful. I hope that they have given you maybe some ideas as to how to make this work for you. If flexible seating is something that you are interested in, I do have, if you're looking for the research or something that like, if you think you're going to have maybe some pushback, either by parents, by students, by administrators, and you're a teacher who would like to implement flexible seating in your classroom, I do have a resource that's available for you on my Teachers Pay Teachers store, which I'll link down below, and it's just a little infographic. I did a bunch of research on this, and so it just cites the research and the benefits of flexible seating for a learner. So if you want that, I have it hanging in my classroom. We have back to school night next week. I'm gonna have like leaflets basically of this infographic so that parents can see that it's not just that I wanted like a cool looking classroom. I really do have a strategic design behind what is happening in here, and it's because I think it's the best for their learners, for their kiddos. Also, if you are a teacher who has flexible seating, or if you have tips about this kind of stuff, will you please add them in the comments below so that we can share the wealth of our knowledge and our experience. Kids are definitely walking by my window right now and watching me record, and they're like, okay, crazy lady. Hi guys, how are you doing? It's me, Mrs. Morris from English. Oh, hi guys. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Please connect with me on Instagram. I love connecting with other teachers. That's the whole point for doing this. I love getting tips and tricks and ideas from you guys, and then sharing what I have learned and picked up along the way. And subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for stopping by. Have a great